Shabbat Shalom, and welcome back to this very special community of Torah students. One of the beautiful and highly suggestive words in the English language is liminal. Liminal. I even just like the way the word sounds, liminal. And I'm grateful that such a word exists to describe a situation in which one is on the threshold of something new and different. A liminal moment can be very disconcerting. Something is happening around us and we don't know what the outcome will be. That's unsettling. We can feel ourselves growing kind of anxious. We're not fully in charge. The context of our life is revealed to be unstable, shifting, whether because of our own actions and decisions or the actions and decisions of others, or because of things that existence, capital E, existence itself, just thrusts upon us. All that is certain in a liminal moment is that things will not remain the way that they used to be. Liminality can be experienced as cultures and societies shift, morphing into something different. Liminality can also describe a state of mind, when one crosses a threshold, transitioning into a new self-understanding. We are clearly at a point in time when liminality seems to be dominating everything that we see and feel. An election has occurred. Our nation will be crossing a threshold into a new set of expectations and all of their attendant uncertainties. The onslaught of COVID-19 is at its raging, murderous peak, especially here in California. Even as our country is at the threshold of what we pray will be a seamless, universal distribution of effective vaccines. So we pull back in fear and simultaneously dare to dream that the worst might soon be over. But what will the new normal look like? What has been permanently lost and what has been gained? The Huffington Post nailed it when it said that a state of liminality is one where the order of things has been suspended. The order of things has been suspended. Betwixt and between, neither here nor there, neither here, neither hen, if you do Yiddish, limitless opportunities, marching side by side with limitless threats. Liminality. Our Sedra is Vayishlach, Genesis 32:4 and following. All of Genesis is filled with liminal moments, because the entire book is a potpourri of disparate strands of the founding narratives of the Jewish people. There are numerous thresholds to be crossed before we can become the people we currently are. Jacob is now ready to return home, ready to face the music in terms of his relationship with his brother Esau. Jacob has crossed threshold after threshold on his journey to become a worthy successor of his grandfather Abraham. Mother Rebekah can no longer chart his path. Laban can no longer control the most intimate aspects of his life. Jacob must now cross the threshold into the land of promise, as well as a threshold leading to self-determination. Now, Jacob can't turn to social media to discover the kind of person Esau has become. Did Esau embrace the capacity to forgive? Is Esau still in a murderous rage? Will Jacob be forced to kill his brother, or will Esau kill Jacob? Jacob sent lavish gifts to Esau. Jacob sent his own family to a place far away from a potential battlefield. Of course, Jacob then had a nightmare. Who wouldn't have had a nightmare. Of course, he then dreamed that he found himself in an existential wrestling match with one who represented all that could go wrong and all that could go right. You do what you can to prepare for a liminal moment, but no one can thoroughly prepare for the absolute unknown on the other side of that threshold. That wrestling match has been the subject of numerous, may I say, endless midrashim and commentaries and explanations. There is so much in our text that is unclear and that will remain forever unclear. But one thing is certain, at the end of the match, Jacob is given a new name. No longer would he be called Yaakov. From now on, Abraham's grandson would be called Yisrael, one who struggled with God and who prevailed. A name change. There is a wonderful old adage in Hebrew, Kishmo Kenhu, one's name reflects one's inner essence. If that's the case, Jacob simply could never meet Esau and survive. Jacob the trickster, Jacob the usurper, Jacob the thief, Jacob the mama's boy who pursued his own selfish concerns with little regard for the impact of his actions upon others. When our third patriarch-to-be was going to cross that threshold to confront the gravest threat to his future, to his very life, he couldn't go forward as Jacob and survive. No gifts, no fancy words would suffice here. Not if there was going to be a real meeting. A meeting in which it was wordlessly clear that someone cleansed of his past was now standing before Esau. Real meetings are like that. Stripped of pretense, stripped of the camouflage of conventional behavior. It was Yisrael and not Yaakov who was seeking reconciliation and forgiveness. It was Yisrael and not Yaakov who had discarded that bag of tricks. How can we know this? As the two men, surrounded by their own private militias, approached each other, it was the one who looked like Yaakov but now really was Yisrael who left his protection behind and walked toward Esau. He humbly, respectfully bowed to the ground 7 times. It was then and only then that Esau rushed forward and embraced him. It looked as if Esau were embracing Yaakov, but Esau was really embracing Israel. Real meetings are like that. Real encounters have no space for pretense and concealment. Real meetings allow us to push past appearances and memories, no matter how accurate, so that both individuals could be fully present to each other. Real meetings aren't pretexts for discovering how the other can be of use to us, how the other can benefit us. That's why I believe that Jacob Israel refused Esau's offer of help and of protection. That's why Jacob didn't want his family group to be absorbed now into Esau's family group. Jacob needed to encounter his adversary with no asks and with no demands. Jacob, having become Israel, allowed Esau to meet him without rancor. Both families could then go their own ways. The threshold had been crossed. The liminal moment had passed. Now the future could begin. Ours is a time of horrendous threat and a time of a true dawning of hope. We may be able to cross our threshold safely if we become open to the people we really are, if we secure our own personal behavior, if we cleanse our minds of yesterday's battles, if we stop trying to occupy all of the space in our conversations and in our behavior, if we acknowledge how gratitude can heal our souls. A little bit of night wrestling might yield some wonderful outcomes. Have a beautiful Shabbat. Isn't the word liminal nice? I really like it. Have a wonderful week. Chanukah is coming. We'll be in touch.